see our new little stand here?
Oh, your table?
Yeah.
Fancy.
Well,
I'm gonna get more water too.
When I say our, I just mean our apartment. Like, I know it's technically yours.
When I mean that, I'm like, when I say our, I'm like, the stand. It's not a stand.
Oh, what is it?
It's a table.
It's a laptop table.
Yeah, but it's like a laptop table stand. It's like a...
Okay.
When I hold a laptop, I am also a laptop stand.
Wait, this upsets me so much. Oh, it's like a food table stand. Like,
That couch is like a person butt table stand.
ooh, you know.
This floor is like a foot table stand. Oh, Jesse,
God.
we're learning so many things today.
Welcome back to Can You Not? The gang is back together.
Ew.
The bang is back together.
The bang is back together.
Days are back together.
There you go. The boys are back in town. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, so it's
Boys are back in town.
Why did Nickelback sing that song so
Boys are back in town.
I thought it was the Cars, but I guess I was wrong.
Okay. Go ahead.
Anyway, welcome back. That's a we have a new comment from none other than OG Bobby Johnson,
Of course
the one
we
and
do.
only.
What did he say?
It was about our presidential wrap-up episode.
Oh, God.
And he says, if you think this election is different, I would encourage you to read about the presidential election of 1860 and or the election of 1964. I know 64 was Goodwater versus Lyndon B. Johnson, and Goodwater was like... People are making comparisons to Trump and how his conservatism is like extremely, strong. But I think what happened was, I think Goodwater's demise was his extremism, whereas I think Trump's success is his extremism.
And also, just as a footnote, as the daughter of the person who made this comment, we just went out to dinner tonight, and he literally said, like, this election's kind of freaking me out because of Trump. Like, that's actually, if I understood him correctly, so I want to research those. I want to see what he meant.
1860 was like right before the Civil War, so I could see some kind of comparison with how divided everyone was then, for sure.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd give y'all.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Mr. Johnson.
His name is Bob.
Bob.
I have nothing to say. Just, hey, Bob.
In very,
What's
very
up?
sad Can You Not news, I have got a new phone, which means our beloved and most treasured alarm is no more. I even looked for it to see if I could download it. Can we just try it?
Do you know the song? You can't fake trumpet taps if you don't know taps.
But yeah, if we could. I think Jesse's dead. We're gonna have to play taps for him soon. But I did find one in its place that captures a similar spirit.
Is it the
I
Kim
think.
Possible song?
It is not the Kim Possible theme. Although I was hoping maybe we could hum the if we could just sing The Last Alarm one last time.
I don't know how it went. anymore. I can tell this episode's gonna be just freaking insane, like right now. Like.
On Monday, the Latin Student Association of John Caroll set up a fence.
John Caroll is the
John Caroll University. And they basically set up this fence to make a statement about immigration holding cells, immigration reform, and also kind of an indirect response to Donald Trump with Build That Wall.
I don't think that's very indirect.
Well, they put these signs that were kind of indirect though.
So they
the
weren't
message.
addressing Trump.
Yeah, they weren't.
Okay.
They never used the word Donald Trump. Well, of course, white students that are Donald Trump supporters, they went during the Latin Student Association's demonstration, an explanation of their piece. I would call it an installation. It was art, in my opinion. And they were throwing racial insults to the Latin students, and that they were probably not legal. And then they went all over campus and started writing Trump 2016 on sidewalks with chalk, and they ended up trying to deface the John Carroll University statue.
With chalk or
with chalk and like I think other stuff, if I'm not mistaken. But it was all, you could get rid of it though.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about it is, and I think it's kind of sad, there has been issues with this at John Carroll of silent racism. John Carroll is comprised, like, demographically 90% white. So there's been a lot of instances from the African American Student Association, along with LASA, the Latin whatever. I keep on screwing up there's so many.
The Latin Student Association.
Yeah, Latin
thing.
Student Association thing. That there's been instances of people using Trump's name as a way of, I guess, oppressing other people.
Yeah.
And they kept on getting, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when they would bring up these accusations of people using Trump's name to oppress them, the number one thing they would get back is, oh, is this your trigger? Like, do you need your own personal space and all these things? And now that this has happened, it seems to have divided the university completely.
And Jesse has a first-hand look because he goes to school
I
there.
go to school there. But I mean, the other thing too is I'm a transfer student and I'm a student of color. So this is just like entirely, I'm just looking from an outside perspective of
because you don't live on campus either.
And I don't live on campus either. So, and I'm also non-traditional. So I'm not like a child here going to school. So it's just way different for me. So my thing is, what happened afterwards, people went to Yik Yak and started putting egregious things on there. I know we've talked about Yik Yak before, and I know we've talked about Donald Trump before, but now they're kind of hitting this intersectionality. So should the universities take a stand against Yik Yak now that, I guess, this racism is being trumpeted even more?
Trumpeted.
Don't steal my pun thunder. Don't steal it.
Punder.
You're a pun.
My,
Yes,
my punder. Don't steal it.
I feel like I'm still of the opinion, and I know that racism, it's freedom of speech is very, very important, and some people are morons, but I don't think that they should be unable to express that they're morons, I guess. So I'm hesitant to say that the university should censor Yik Yak, but I don't really think Yik Yak in this case is the issue. People can say terrible things anonymously just about anywhere they want nowadays, online and on Yik Yak and on other things. But I think the real issue, and honestly, even though I think Trump is horrifying, I don't agree with anything he has said. I think he's terribly racist and sexist and just a terrible person, and I don't think he represents what we want as a whole in the country, honestly. But people have the right to support him. So I don't think chalking Trump 2016, it bothers me, but not from a right standpoint. I think what starts bothering me is when people are throwing racial slurs at this Latin Student Association and trying, if they're like doing something to stop these students from expressing themselves properly, that's where I would draw the line, I guess.
Okay, so I forgot to state that it's actually against the institutional rules to put any kind of messages on any kind of property that the school
So the chalking's
owns.
like not allowed?
It's not allowed. Okay. So the thing was, so if they didn't like the Latin Student Association's installation, at least they went through the institution to get it set up. Mm-hmm. So of course they're allowed to express their feelings, but they didn't even go through that.
Yeah. And from a discipline standpoint, that could be a way that you could say, like, you're doing this is wrong. Nobody is allowed to chalk anything anywhere on campus, so you can't do this. And as I don't mean to defend people who support racism or this phobia of foreigners or, like, any of that stuff, but free speech isn't just the speech that I agree with. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the point where they are stopping other people from expressing themselves, when it comes to the point where they are hindering the Latin Association or yelling over them or stopping other people from expressing themselves properly, that's, at least in this case, where I think I would draw the line. And I don't agree with, like, obviously I don't agree with the Trump supporters. I don't agree with their message. I don't agree with anything that they say, but I don't think that that means they shouldn't be allowed to say it.
What I would like to see, and Jesse and I were talking a little bit about this the other night, but I feel like Yik Yak should have better accountability for its users. I think just in the fact that every community has guidelines they need to follow. It doesn't matter if it's an internet community or in a real life community, and I feel like Yik Yak suffers from a lack of any community guidelines. And so you see an abuse of people through their app, you know? And it's like, if Yik Yak had a way of maybe receiving complaints from people about a certain, you know, they can still be anonymous, they could still have the anonymous animal or whatever, stuff like that. But if there was a way that Yik Yak could, like, recognize those accounts perhaps, and recognize when there's harmful behavior happening and be able to maybe manage things from that, do you think that's fair enough?
I just don't think that they would, because that kind of counters the entire basis of what Yik Yak is. And again, I'm not saying that it's right.
Yeah.
But I once heard somebody describe Yik Yak as every school bully in high school hangs out on Yik Yak. Like, that is what Yik Yak is. It's basically, I mean, at least my experience with it is a bunch of horrible people saying horrible, or I mean, what I understand to be horrible people saying these terrible things and talking about people, or coming off as super desperate, trying to take strangers out to lunch. That is my entire experience with Yik Yak. Mm-hmm. So I'm almost inclined to say, if this anonymous thing is becoming so terrible that you are angry about it, I would almost just say, take it off your phone. Because I don't think Yik Yak is going to change. And that's like not what Yik Yak is. It's supposed to be anonymous. It's supposed to, and I remember the discussion that we were having that one time. It's almost kind of cool that the content, regardless of the face of the person who put it, the content that people want the most is what floats to the top, right?
Right.
And that's.
Oh yeah, and I fully support the idea of anonymity on the internet. I just wonder if, like, more on Yik Yak side of things, like, the users wouldn't put, like, a username or anything like that. I'm saying Yik Yak would have a way of following different accounts, perhaps.
I mean, I that could be used. I just don't think that they would.
Yeah.
Is all that I'm saying. I'm not saying that people shouldn't pursue it if they're interested in it, but I got bored of Yik Yak and just uninstalled it because I think it's all stupid, and I don't even think it's. For me, it's not a battle worth fighting, because it's just the only people who hang out there, in my experience, are very rude, and I don't want to communicate with them in any way. So.
Yeah. What do you think then?
I would like Yik Yak to take some kind of responsibility. It seems to me that they're very passive with these kind of issues. Mm-hmm. They hardly ever address pro-rape things that actually have been acted out. And there's been warning signs with Yik Yak postings. Mm-hmm. They haven't done anything about race discrimination, sexual discrimination. They haven't done much of anything for that.
Because for a while, Twitter had similar complaints, right? Like, a lot of people were saying, like, people are abusing your, you know. Oh, it didn't do the.
Oh, it was on vibrate.
Yeah.
I feel like for things like where it could, I feel like having some kind of way to figure out who posted things from the like software developer or whatever, from that side of things makes a lot of sense, especially if it's able to predict things like that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I think they should move in a way that Facebook started, like their genesis. You had to have a college email, and from there it would be just like a college setting, so it would eliminate these outside people that live near colleges, one. And then 2, you would be able to track people. I get the point of it being like anonymous.
And it could still be anonymous.
But I feel like you would have to have some kind of college email, and if there was something wrong, like they could directly, I don't know, email an administrator or a dean from Yik Yak. You know what I mean?
I think that's
like,
a good idea. That
be
makes
like,
a lot of sense.
J Smith 17 at jcu.com. I'm sorry if that's your actual email, if you exist. You know, disobeyed our rules and engagement policies.
Yeah, I think that actually makes a lot of sense. I was thinking, I know we're over time. I was thinking, like, I don't think Yik Yak would be down with having a login and having, like, usernames and things, but something where they could find it from their side of things.
Yeah.
If something like, I'm going to rape this person appears online, they should be able to. That makes a lot of sense to me. Recently, I don't know if you guys saw, but there have been petitions for Amazon to stop selling Trump merchandise that Trump is profiting on. So it wouldn't be that people, like, if you, Joe, wanted to, like, list your Trump t-shirt on Amazon,
all of them,
they would not stop you from listing it. But if, like, Donald Trump's merch store was like, we're gonna sell bumper stickers, they wouldn't let, like, the petition is to stop Trump from profiting off through Amazon. And a lot of people are in support of this because they think he is racist and misogynistic. They're right. But
spoiler alert.
if you haven't been paying attention, if you're not caught up in the series yet. But I support them to a point, but I'm just interested in, and this kind of circles back to what I was saying earlier. Where does free speech start and end? Where do the rights of people who are racist, xenophobic, terrible humans, like these, and I'm talking about Donald Trump, obviously, where he's just so outwardly horrible to so many people, but he is still a citizen of the United States. Do you think that it is impeaching upon his freedom of speech to tell him that he cannot sell these things?
No, I believe any kind of retail outlet, website, or actual store, they have the right to decide who can sell their stuff through their website. Like, they're allowed to say, oh, by the way, we're not going to have you. You know what I mean? Yeah. The other thing, too, is Amazon has way too much to lose. Way too much to lose if they're outwardly, maybe not outwardly, but allowing someone of Trump's stature to be selling things. Like, they could lose endorsements, they can lose advertising deals, they can lose a lot of things.
They did take a stand when that whole issue of the Confederate flag was happening last year, and they refused to sell.
They struck them down.
Which I was actually very impressed by. I didn't think they would go to those lengths, but if they're willing to make that kind of statement, I feel like maybe that's what makes it kind of more, like, they've already set a precedent that, okay, we're willing to do stuff like this, so that's why I think it's more of a possibility in that sense, I guess. I don't know, I think Amazon's a little bit different because it's more of an aggregate of lots of sellers. It's not just one location, not like Walmart or anything like that, where they're directly buying, the product and then selling it.
Would it change if it were Walmart or something?
I think I'd be more willing to get fully behind it. Yeah, if it was like Walmart or something like that, yeah, like you were saying, like, they completely have the choice. With Amazon, I still, like you said, I think I'm kind of like half and half, but I see a less compelling argument rather than someone who's just like a direct seller.
A less compelling argument for them to pull the Trump merchandise?
Yeah.
Because, like, the flip side of this, and I almost feel like a terrible person for trying to compare these things, because he's so terrible to so many people, but freedom of speech doesn't care about that, I guess.
Yeah.
But because the flip side of that is if I think that Amazon should be able to say we're not selling Trump things because we don't agree with what Trump says, does that mean that the bakers are allowed to say we're not giving you a cake because you're gay?
Right.
Is that?
Well, I mean, in the current climate, yes, and it's time for people that support rights across the board to play their game. As much as we're like, we would never stoop to that level, at the same time, like, that's what we call justice in a sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's great.
Because that's how I've been justifying it, I guess, as I've been thinking through it, is Amazon is owned by somebody. It's not a private seller, but it is a company.
Yeah.
It's not like the government isn't in charge of this. It's it's owned by somebody.
Yeah.
And if we can tell a gay couple, if somebody can tell a gay couple, we aren't giving you a cake because we disagree with everything that you are, then I think that Amazon should also be able to pull what they feel. But it's still, pulling something like that, like, it almost feels like impeachment of the speech thing. Like, it almost feels like it's breaking that.
Like I was saying before, Amazon has a lot to lose. They have stock. They have stockholders.
You mean they have a lot to lose if they continue to carry Trump, or if they...
Yeah, if they continue to carry Trump.
Probably both in a sense, though.
No.
I feel like
Silicon Valley is very, very liberal. Very liberal. But they're going to, I mean, if they were to keep Trump as a retailer on their website, stockholders are not going to want to keep stocks with them. They'll sell and pull out real quick.
Isn't that what was the state that just...
North Carolina?
Is that the one where, like, people are, like, pulling out of there because of the bathroom laws, right?
The bathroom laws. And also, there's a bunch of other horrible laws.
I know Missouri had similar stuff going on, too.
So is Mississippi as well.
Because it's almost like... if we live in a capitalist country, which we do, you have to vote with your money. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it makes sense. I think this is a really, really interesting thing, because I was having this conversation with somebody else, and they were, one of their points is that one of the problems here is that this butting of heads between capitalism and democracy, because capitalism and democracy don't quite really get along super well. So in a capitalist sense, you say, well, the seller can do whatever they want. So the person who owns the bakery, the person who owns Amazon, the person who owns
Jeff Bezos,
the businesses that were in, what'd you say, North Carolina? Is that where it was? Pulling out. But in the other sense, democracy says, well, we have freedom of speech. We have freedom to put out our merchandise, our statement, our opinions.
How horrible, right?
Yeah. So it's, I think it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, because I think, like, you know, from our perspective, it's very easy to say because we recognize the bigotry. But then, like, I'm thinking about, like, how would I explain that decision to, say, a Trump supporter who's caught in this bubble and doesn't maybe even realize the things they're saying are so... So, like, how would I explain that decision to them without basically bringing my opinion into it, I guess?
Right. And that's the other thing, too, is it's horrendous to me. I'll just say it. It's completely horrendous to me that in order to try and think about this objectively, I have to think to myself, okay, well, I think I am a mostly middle person as far as ideologies go. So as a middle person, okay, so on one side of it are the people who think that Trump is a terrible person. And then if I were on the other side of it and I were racist and hated women and xenophobic, this is how I think about it this way, because that is such a significant portion of the country that in order to weigh things, I guess, in this sense objectively, I have to look at it like, okay, well, if Trump is allowed to say these terrible things and I'm on Trump's team, how would I see this? And it's so bizarre.
What I'm confused about is why is he setting up a retailer on Amazon when he could do it on his own website?
That's true. That's a really good point.
Really good point.
Do you see what I mean? Like, Amazon has the right to kick him off. Like, Donald Trump is acting like he can't have his own online shop.
That's a really, really good point, because...
Do you see what I mean?
He could go through eBay, even. He could go through...
anything else.
Yeah.
I bet he has, like, he has so many buildings. He probably has a website or 2 or 10.
Yeah,
maybe.
And it's not like...
Maybe.
And it's not like he's the underdog or anything. It's not like... It's not like... he has no options. Like,
right.
That's a good point, and that's something I didn't think of.
Sell steaks on Amazon. Wine.
I'd be
maybe
very scared.
fake degrees.
Does he have fake degrees?
His university is getting investigated. They might discredit every single degree given.
Essentially,
awesome.
He started a thing called Trump University, which is like a business school. Literally, all you got was a cheaply printed out diploma and a picture with a cardboard cutout of him as you were
getting
bored,
your
quote unquote,
after passing all those classes.
Oh my God.
Might not count.
And
who
probably
would go to Trump University?
People have.
Who?
People.
Are they people? Are you sure that they're humans?
They're clearly people.
I don't know.
I'd be very curious to see what Amazon does, though. Like,
I'm interested.
How are they going to take this?
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled the Trump stuff off.
And
especially since they've already, like, the Confederate flag is racist, so, like, Trump is racist. I mean, these things make sense to me. Like,
well, also, like, it's not like Amazon is like the underdog either, too. Like, they are.
Amazon is about to like take over the United States, basically.
Like they're fighting with Apple right now.
Right.
Oh, man.
Like, they're not going to suffer like irreparable, like losses if they do cut that merchandise. Like, that's not going to destroy their company. As
soon as you said Apple's fighting with Amazon, I just thought of Batman versus Superman, and I was like, oh no,
it's literally
this is gonna be awful.
Oh man, I got no words.
5, 4,
3, 2. Happy New Year! That's not the thing I chose, but it works.
I almost did the Happy New Year thing, and then I thought better of it.
See, that's the story of my life. Joe never thinks better. He just thinks and then does.
You think?
Sometimes.
Ooh.
Now for something completely different. So, are any of you familiar with ASMR?
No.
Asthma?
Asthma.
Asthma.
Isn't that the lead singer of Vampire Weekend? No, that's Ezra. That's Ezra. I'm sorry.
Asthma Furman.
Stop.
So
literally no one understood what you just said except me.
Such an obscure
Ezra Furman's really cool.
Look him up. Anyway.
Look them up.
Oh yes. Anyway. So this is actually a fairly recently recognized phenomenon. I would say within probably the past 6-7 years or so. I have my little guide right here. So the idea is it's a kind of a trigger that gives you a sense of euphoria, but it's not a sexualized thing.
Is it drugs?
It's not a drug-induced thing. It's commonplace sounds and visuals that give people almost an orgasmic feeling.
Oh my god, I've had that happen before.
You've had this happen?
Yes, like with immense bass.
What? Oh,
like immense bass lines in a song.
Okay.
It literally just like knocked my brain and I felt something. I'm not even joking.
That's probably what this is then, because a lot of people don't even recognize they have these sensations, but it can be triggered by all kinds of things. The most common one tends to be like, oddly enough, whispering. So you can find like lots of YouTube videos of people just for like half an hour going like up to the microphone and going, might trigger some people, we don't even know.
Wait till you see my
Whoa. I didn't like that. Somebody's just like, whoa.
So it's like, whoa.
They know what it is now.
They're just like, I am talking to you right now into the microphone. And like,
really?
Sometimes even certain words will like...
Moist?
Ew.
No one likes that.
So I feel the closest thing that I can relate to that is some songs. Okay, I try to tell this to people and they don't know what I mean. Some songs are so good that they hurt. Like,
right.
And I mean, I don't think it's quite that intense.
Shut up.
No, I'm not. I
know you're not kidding.
I'm not lying. There are some songs that are so good that they like actually hurt to listen to. They're so good, and some bands are that way too. I'm not going to publicly admit which ones that they are because somebody's gonna be like super angry with my choices.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a similar reaction though.
But it's not quite. I feel like this is a lot more intense than what I'm talking about. If it's like orgasmic, because that's not really quite what I'm going for.
Very similarly, a lot of what?
No, nothing. Oh. I'm just trying not to laugh.
A lot of like repetitive noises of people doing like simple things. Like it could be like the sound of them folding laundry or the sound of them turning pages of a book.
No, this is not that at all.
Like, or the sound of like oh gosh. I just think of like crinkling things, crinkling like candy wrappers.
As soon as you said repetitive noises, I just like shot back to cashiering. And it was just like, it's the sound of the bell and of people like, will you take my coupon? And I was like, no.
That's Amber's ASMR.
No.
Like for me, this is so stupid, but I really like the sound of zippers.
Yeah, I mean, Things like
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't-
Like, just a pleasing noise.
Like some people like the sound of high heels hitting the ground.
Right? Or like coffee pouring.
Yeah.
Or
I like the smell of coffee.
Or like using scissors.
I'm trying to think if I can think of sounds that I abhor, like that I
You
hate
can't
beyond all.
stand.
Yeah, like when
the anti-ASMR.
when styrofoam rubs on styrofoam, man.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, and that's. But I can't think of anything that's the opposite. Like that is the mirror image of that. I can't think of anything repetitive that's
By the way,
good.
it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. That's what it stands for. I should have clarified that at the beginning. Meridian basically being a switch out for orgasmic. Because again, but there are people who do get sexual satisfaction from this.
There's somebody who gets sexual satisfaction out of literally everything.
Right.
So that's not surprising.
But the community itself is kind of split into this schism because they have the people who are defending it as just like, no, this isn't sexual, and the people who are defending it as, you know, the people who do get sexual pleasure from it. So
I'm gonna die.
what?
Just murdered Jesse with my eyes. Well, I mean, I'm sure depending on the person, it can be sexual or is not sexual. It just depends on that person's experience.
But it can also be visual too, and sometimes it could just be an entire like sensory experience, like getting a haircut, or having your hair washed, or having your nails painted. You know, just like a whole experience that just like sets your brain and makes you go like. I mean, I admit, like, I don't think I might not be a full ASMR, but like if I'm going to like a salon or something like that and get my hair cut and they like shampoo my hair, if they shampoo my hair, that really feels really good. I
But
don't know if
like,
it's the same
no,
thing,
but that's because they like massage your scalp when they're doing it. It does feel really nice.
Like for
but-
me, when I seldom wear a suit, I get that.
Mm.
I feel invincible almost. Like
I feel
yeah,
like
that's a good
I feel like
feeling.
that. I'm trying to think of literally anything right now. I like. I feel like that kind of happens with like repetitive like feelings. Like I don't. They were like Legos or something, but they were these two like long ridged pieces, and you could run
Okay.
the ridged pieces back and forth on each other, kind of like it was like a cricket, and it would make this like buzzing noise, but you could
Oh, okay.
feel it as it bumped in and out. And I
Yeah.
used to do that a lot. But again, it doesn't. I don't think it's nearly as intense.
do you get satisfaction when you're building a set or you're setting up for a musical act, like where you're doing wrench motions or anything?
Well,
or hearing
but
clicks? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but the thing about that is I'm usually using a drill, and most of the time my arm just hurts. Like
dude-
yesterday, I was standing up and I had to like put all my weight on this drill, and the battery was dying and the bit was dull, and I was like, oh, this is the worst thing. So I don't think that quite. I understand what you mean. I get so frustrated when I'm building sometimes that I don't think that quite counts.
Like for me, building furniture at work, I kind of get that though.
Yeah.
Like just the motions of like the threading
Yeah.
of the Allen
yeah.
wrench screws,
It's
or
a
like
very
using a
pleasing-
drill as well.
I
Yeah.
feel like almost something else that I can kind of think of that is like just satisfying in like this is not sexual, but satisfying is not sexual.
Yeah,
Have you ever
yeah.
typed on a typewriter?
Yeah.
And you can watch the words form.
You feel each
No,
letter
it's not
before.
even you watch the words grow physically on the page. I think that's really cool. I like doing that, but I have a typewriter, guys. It's at my house, in my parents' house.
I
so.
think for me, I was trying to think of different sensations, and I think a good one that might come close for me is sometimes just writing with a really nice pen.
Yeah, nice pens are the greatest thing in all of
Yes.
forever.
Because like sometimes though, like if it is really, and I'm like writing a thought that I really like, I don't know. I think it might count as that. 'cause it's just such a set. Like
I
my
like
brain
the-
is just like, this is life. Like I just feel so good.
I like
it.
the fine point pens that never trip. They're not gel pens. Oh, they're nice. They're pretty. I know what you mean.
I
Yes.
like getting new moleskins.
moleskins.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The little
yeah.
notebooks. I feel like you would love those.
What are moleskins?
They're really cool little subject notebooks. They're like this big.
Oh, moleskin for me is like what you put in your shoe when it like.
Oh,
AKA what my skate shoes are basically made
yeah, I
out
was
of
about to
now.
say. But I feel like you would really like those. Like to me, they're very like aesthetically appealing. But the pages feel so smooth, and when I turn it, it does give me like satisfaction for some reason. I never thought about
Well,
that.
they even said like turning pages and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that could, I'm actually. Let's see. I'm gonna try to find.
Or I like,
ASMR
or
video.
like I like touching plants. This is such a weird thing. But like succulents, like fat-leaved things are really cool, and I love going to the botanical garden, and I've been there so many times this year just taking other people with me, and I just sit like with succulents, and this leaf is the coolest leaf in the history of leaves.
Succulents.
It's so great. Or like touching flowers. I love the way flower petals
Well, you know
feel.
who was an innovator of ASMR without even realizing it? Is Bob Ross. A lot of people discovered that Bob Ross was an ASMR trigger before they even realized what it was for them, like back in the 90s and stuff. Like his voice is just so
I wonder if this
soothing
is
that it
just people
triggered.
putting a title on something.
Morgan Freeman as a
Dude.
voice like that.
Dude.
I could fall asleep to him reading me books.
I could fall asleep to him reading anything.
Yeah.
Like the
Let's see.
dictionary, like
Here's a ASMR video that's
a
all
differential
about,
equations textbook. Just
A circuits textbook.
shut up. No, that would give me PTSD.
This is an ASMR video that includes ear cupping and wood spheres.
Oh my god, this sounds like
These are
porn.
like, I know, there's like 40-minute videos that these people do that just, they talk like that the whole time. It's supposed to be very relaxing for some people. See if we can get to any of the sounds. So she's literally just like rubbing her hand up against different textures. Like, this is kind of, looks like some kind of bristly sort of object. Again.
Is this like some weird hipster porn?
I don't like it. Have you guys ever seen salad fingers?
Oh, no!
No,
that
no, no.
scares the
Because,
out of me.
okay, first let me just preface
Oh
this.
my God.
Let me preface this.
Oh my god.
I think salad fingers is weird, and I don't dislike it, but I'm not telling you to look it up. So if you like hurt yourself with salad fingers, it's not my fault.
Personally,
In salad
I
fingers,
like salad
in salad fingers, he has one of his really long creepy fingers, and he's touching a rusty spoon, and that's what that reminded me of. It's just like the as he's like touching the spoon. Like,
Rusty kettle.
I think salad fingers
No.
had the thing.
Salad Fingers,
I'm terrified.
if you look at the whole series, it's about a post-apocalyptic world after a war. Like
Also,
and
the
it's-
guy who wrote it, if I remember correctly, the guy who wrote it, I don't want to misspeak here, but I might be wrong. The guy who wrote it has schizophrenia, and he was
think I may have heard
trying
that.
to also, this is what my experiences are like sometimes, kind of thing. Which is also, oh my god, that's awful. But
Yeah.
probably don't look up salad.
I say
Please
look it
don't.
up. Joe recommends all 10 episodes.
Please don't. No, like, please don't. If this was caught on camera, you would have seen me jump across the room.
Yeah,
Jesse was
So
like,
I think
no.
Jesse's gonna cry. I also like Courage. If you don't like Courage the Cowardly Dog, definitely don't look up
The
Salad
voice,
Fingers.
Cowardly
the
Dog,
voice
I like that
actor
show,
of
though.
the old dude just passed away today. Actually.
No.
Of Eustace?
Yeah, he's like 93 or 95 or something. He was old, so he had a long life.
That was
but
such a good show.
that was a good show. I know, childhood.
What are you doing?
That's my courage voice. It was close when I started it.
That was
But then it
Dog, you made me look bad. That's mine. That's the whole thing.
just like what a
So rest in peace, Eustace.
No.
real one.
No.
What did we learn today?
What did I even talk about today?
That Donald Trump took two of our topics,
as per
Oops.
usual.
and that I can't articulate abbreviations.
I learned that freedom of speech is hard.
I learned that I need to figure out what my ASMR trigger is. Might be writing with a nice pen. That might be it.
Bryce is sitting at home saying, "It's my voice.
Like screaming.
It's my voice."
No. No.
Oh, that would be nice if the person you were dating could trigger it. How awesome would that be? You're just like...
I feel like you're
lulling
assuming
to
everybody
sleep.
can be triggered by this.
Actually, they can't. They figured that, like... I think they found, like, usually... Like, 3 out of 4 people, roughly.
I
That's
feel
not everyone.
I know, I'm saying that. Not everyone. So it's likely that...
But
you
I
could
also
not-
just feel like some people find some things pleasing, and I am wary of
Well, the research
over-labeling
is still
things.
early on it, but they do say that it does seem to be a legitimate thing.
I wonder-
When
That
they-
people are pleased by things.
No. No.
Here's my thing.
This-
I'm really curious as to see like who has the most heightened levels of this, and if they're like into the arts.
That's
Interesting.
You know
If
what I
have
mean?
a greater
Like,
sensitivity.
like
that kind of
I
stuff.
love bass lines. Does that mean I always would love music no matter what because of my physiological reaction.
What does that mean about me? I like touching leaves. Like, what the hell is that?
Science fairies!
I don't like biology, though.
She's like, I like differential equations.
Nobody likes differential equations. Let me tell you right now. Or maybe people who don't actively interact with the arts just aren't as... Maybe they're like me, and they're like, what am I? What do I do? And they just aren't in touch with that.
And then they buy a Roomba.
No, that was not me.
Oh, that was James.
That was James.
For more Donald Trump conversations, you can check us out on iTunes at Can You Not under the podcast section, question mark after the Can You Not, or at SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/CYN podcast. Yeah, send us some things to talk about. Send us your own ASMR
Ask
triggers.
us personal questions about ourselves.
Yeah, because then we'll have to talk about it for 10 minutes.
It'll be so great.
It'll be like truth or dare.
Oh my god.
Also, special announcement, I am trying to... Wow. Okay, who was that? Anyways, I am trying to do some live shows this summer, and I might have a couple things in motion. So if you want to follow me, it's at BLVCKCELTIC.
And very quickly, if you listen at all, you've heard me say this before. My dad is doing a bike ride that will benefit Alzheimer's research. All the money that he raises will go to Alzheimer's research. He is paying for his own expenses to get to the ride and to ride and to like survive while he's riding his bike and doing things. But we'll put a link. Joe will put a link.
Yep.
For this. And if you have any spare money, just resist buying Chipotle for lunch one day and give my dad $10, and it'll be just, wow, you'll be doing so much. It'll be great.
And y'all might want to stay tuned for our next episode because it's gonna be a little bit different one. It's gonna be a very special episode.
We cannot tell you which city we will be in, but we will let you know when we're there.
Yeah.
Which means it's not gonna be here, which is just so exciting to not be here anymore.
We'll have an extra guest too, so stay tuned.
I was gonna say holla. I don't know what you were doing.
Can you both not?
Can I
Cannot.
not?